Okay, there we go.
All right. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service for August 18th, 2020. I'm your current president, Ashley Sullivan. Thank you so much for being here. Michael, would you please show the flag graphic for 15 seconds of respectful silence?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to introduce Jim Bright, who will be offering our reflection to honor the life and legacy of Judy Bush, past district governor, distinguished Rotarian, and change maker. Jim?
Ashley.
Jim, you're muted.
Thank you, Ashley. In 2001, as the new president of Attica Consolidated Schools here in Indiana, Judy was invited to give the talk at the local Attica Williamsport Rotary Club. After her talk, a member came up and asked Judy to join Rotary, and Judy thought about it for a few seconds and accepted. Judy quickly came to think that Rotary was, in her words, one of the most worthwhile organizations for doing good in the entire world. 10 years in the Attica Williamsport Club, Judy served twice as club president and in a number of district leadership roles. In 2011, after 46 years in education, in jobs ranging from math teacher to superintendent, Judy chose to retire and, together with her husband, John, moved to Heltonville to be closer to their daughter, and they joined Bedford Rotary. Now, with her experience and enthusiasm, Judy became an important part of the Bedford Club, serving as club secretary and contributing a weekly article about her club's activities to the Times-Mail newspaper. Well, Judy especially loved Rotary's youth programs, and at Bedford, she led Bedford's Rotary Youth Exchange program and later led our district's exchange program too, working with students going to other countries for a year or coming here for a year to experience life in America. In 2017-18, Judy was our district governor, serving 35 clubs in Southern Indiana. She worked with Northern and Central Indiana to put together an all Indiana Rotary multi-district conference in Indianapolis, that was the first time that all three districts had come together for a district conference since 1938. Sadly, Judy's efforts were interrupted by major surgery to remove a tumor that proved to be cancerous. She bounced back in time to enjoy the wonderful conference. Some thoughts about Judy. Judy never met a Rotarian she didn't like. She never had a bad day. Some days were just better than others. I will miss her optimistic spirit. Unless Judy had another Rotary commitment, she never missed a weekly meeting. You never know when somebody might need you, she said. I will miss her commitment and her compassion. Judy loved Rotary district conferences because they provided wonderful opportunities to see old friends and to make new friends, Rotarians on top of that, and to pick up fresh ideas on how to make your club more vibrant and how to make yourself a better Rotarian. I'll miss her smile and her creativity. Now, Judy was a multi-level Paul Harris Fellow and major donor. And she considered the Rotary Foundation the fuel that powers Rotary's many good works in our communities and across the globe. I will miss her dedication to sharing. Now, Judy considered Bloomington Rotary a special club, and she joined Rotary International President Ian Risley of Melbourne, Australia, and her own Bloomington Rotary President Mike Baker in speaking at our 100 Years of Rotary in Bloomington celebration on May the 10th, 2018. By the way, that photo in the upper left shows Judy with her husband John and with 2017-18 President Mike Baker. No one enjoyed her sending Judy. Now, Judy was a volunteer and current board member of Teachers Warehouse. Undoubtedly, we will miss her thoughtfulness and her willingness to roll up her sleeves for a good cause. Judy touched my life in the lives of so many others, and her spirit will move on, will carry on in each of us. Thank you, President Ashley.
Thank you so much, Jim. Very moving tribute to a wonderful friend and Rotarian who will be greatly missed. Thank you.
Nobody can see us.
Thank you, Jim.
Stephen?
Jim, would you like to continue on and introduce any visiting Rotarians and guests that we have with us today?
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. First of all, I think Owen Johnson has some guests. Owen, did you want to introduce your guests?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do so. I have two guests. One is the new temporary associate pastor at First Presbyterian Church, Kelly Jepson. She comes to us indirectly from Minnesota, but more directly from Second Presbyterian Church in Indianapolis. And my other guest is the Reverend Sarah McKinney. She is the spiritual support and volunteer coordinator at Stonebelt.
Okay, thank you, Owen. Welcome, Kelly and Sarah. And understand Jean Emery may have some guests. Jean, are you with us?
I am. Thank you, Jim. Wonderful tribute to Judy. I'd like to welcome Lauren Cowan and her husband, Peter, who will be joining us shortly after his Zoom meeting. Lauren, if you want to wave or do something so that they can see you. You're on my screen too, I think. But they have attended Rotary before. They're very interested in becoming members. And they own a business called Age Wise Design. I hope you all get to know them and welcome them to Rotary.
Thank you, Jean, and welcome, Lauren. Look forward to seeing Peter here in a little while. Also, we have with us today, back for a visit, is past Rotarian Liz Granat of CJAM, Community Justice and Mediation Center. Welcome back, Liz. And let's see, anybody else joined us here today? John Bush, are you with us? Okay, it's good to see some Rotarians we haven't seen for a while. I see Wendell St. John on the screen, and Walt Kuhn and Roseanne. So welcome, everybody. Back to you, President Ashley.
Thank you. And I believe John has joined us, so thank you for being here, John. Okay, now for, I'm sorry, did I miss someone?
Hi, I'm Bitta DeWeese. I'm with Stonebelt. I'm a guest of Leslie's.
Oh, thank you, Bitta. Welcome. Okay, thank you to our producers, Michael Shermis and Sally Gaskell. And I wanted to give a special shout out to Alon Barker, who will no longer be our producer, but he will be resuming his teaching schedule for the semester. And I wanted to give a million thanks for his outstanding patience and guidance and pizzazz over these last few months. So please, huge Rotary thank you to him. If we could give a standing ovation right now, we certainly would.
Thank you all so much. And it's been a great ride as we've gone into this new venture between all of us. Thank you. Thanks, Ashley.
Thanks so much. And Michael and Sally will take the reins to produce these meetings, and I'm sure it's all going to go just beautifully. So thank you for stepping up and taking over. Our roundabout reporter for this week is Jim Bright, and we have some special birthdays. Phil Eskew is tomorrow. August 19th. Hank Heichema is August 20th. Bob Holt is August 21st. Chris Kroll is August 23rd, and Bill Oates is August 24th. We have one membership anniversary. Susie Graham has been with our club for 7 years. Congratulations, Susie. Some Rotarians in the news, or connected to Rotarians in the news. IU Media School mentioned Clarice Cross, our 2021 Global Grant Scholar, in their newsletter. The award will support her master's work in community economic development at Waseda University in Tokyo. So it was a nice mention there. Alex Starry, who spoke to our club last week, was featured in Monday's HT with an article entitled Rotary Scholarship Funds Adventures. Hopefully, these features will encourage more area scholars to apply for our global grant program. We can continue to send folks from Bloomington. And fellow Bloomington Rotarian IU cybersecurity professor Scott Shackelford is speaking today at Zoom at the Rotary Club of Indianapolis, which is the largest of Indiana's 130 Rotary clubs. So congrats to Scott. All right, a few announcements. For anyone interested, the Bloomington Hospital Site Redevelopment Project has an online survey if you'd like to give input on the proposed planning principles and frameworks for the site. You can access the survey by visiting the website at bloomingtonhospitalsite.com. Pretty straightforward. You can take the survey till September 1st. Speaking of surveys, thank you to everyone who completed the survey regarding the pledge. The results are being discussed at this week's board meeting and will be shared with all of you next week. Our first Rotary social gathering is next Thursday, August 27th at Cars Farm Park Shelter number 9 from 5:30 to 7:30. Although we can't shake hands or hug hello, I'm looking forward to a few hours of safe, physically distanced conversation and being with you in person. So I hope that you'll join us. We will provide some fun and casual entertainment that you can be involved in. So come, looking forward to having a good time and being together. Okay, volunteering service spotlight. I like to highlight at least one opportunity a month. We have 5 right now. Helping Hands is always available. I've received lots of notifications on some available opportunities. I encourage you to take them up on it. All the ways to sign up will be in the roundabout. Community Kitchen. We have 2 urgent spots open for this Friday, August 21st, and 1 spot for the next Friday, August 28th. I will link, I'll put the sign up in the chat here in a few. But it's a lot of fun. We've had some Rotarians already fill those spots the last 2 weeks. Major thanks to Ann Bright, who came in the clutch last week when we had an open spot for going over there same day. Thanks to Ann. Friends of Lake Monroe, head to their website to join the group or to sign up for their volunteer opportunities. They still have some open availability. And Wheeler Mission has some new opportunities that I thought I would be good to share. It's a unique opportunity for those not comfortable with in-person volunteering. They're looking for teams to help share their story through media, videos, and newsletter creation. So if you're skilled in production of any of those things, they'd love to hear from you. You can share those skills with Josie Rice, and her contact information will be in the roundabout. Teachers Warehouse is always looking for volunteers, and you can volunteer by emailing volunteers@teacherswarehouse.org. But I want to give a special thanks to everyone who has worked tirelessly to make Teachers Warehouse run smoothly. There are a lot of you, but I want to recognize each of you. You're making a huge difference in the life of our teachers and students, and they need us more than ever. Ron Barnes, Jim and Ann Bright, Kate Crookshank, Steve Engel, Ron Jensen, Sarah Laughlin, Ann Miser, Bill Perkins, Martha Wales, Marilyn Wood. And for those that have dropped off donations, we've noticed Ann Diltz, Glenda Murray, Cindy Neidhart, Judy Witt, and to our corporate sponsor, IU Credit Union, our own Brian Price is sponsoring Teachers Warehouse. So big Rotary thank you to everyone who makes it possible every week and every day. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. You're all my personal heroes, that's for sure. All right, that's my happy dollars, but I'll give you guys the chance to share your own personal happy dollars now, starting with Sarah Laughlin. Sarah?
You could see I was happy. Um, as you know, I've been involved with the Rotary Toast since the beginning. And this year will be our 6th annual Rotary Toast. In January, we chose a recipient, Bob Hamill, and he chose a charity to benefit the Hoosier Hills Food Bank, all before the pandemic. And then the committee asked, should we postpone it from our November 6th date? Should we just cancel until next year? And we decided, like good Rotarians, we can't wait. We have to take action. We want to honor Bob, and the food bank desperately needs our help now more than ever before. So we're planning an elegant online toast. Food Bank Director Julio Alonso recently let us know why he wasn't able to attend our meeting. And he wrote to me, food distribution is £1 million ahead of last year, up 34%. Our warehouse is a madhouse of more food than we've ever had on hand before, and more food coming in and going out than ever before. In addition to our agency work and mobile pantries, we've taken on a bi-weekly Friday distribution where we're serving 1,000 households in 5 hours. We're continuing to operate under completely new procedures and policies that constantly require updating. We've lost most of our regular volunteers, and we're dealing every day with some kind of new COVID-related safety or policy challenge. We have a staff of 14 and as many National Guard troops to manage and keep safe. So that's just a little view into what it's like working at the food bank in this time. I hope you'll join us on November 6th. You'll enjoy a beautiful charcuterie board while you're watching a high quality online experience, and the proceeds will benefit the food bank in their time of greatest need. To sponsor or to buy an individual ticket, all you have to do is visit rotarytoast.com. So it's not .org, it's .com, rotarytoast.com. So hope to see you there. We'll all be elegantly dressed, toasting with our glass of wine and eating our wonderful hors d'oeuvres online. So don't miss it.
Thank you. Who's next to share a happy dollar with us today?
I have some happy dollars. I would like, actually, Artie and I would like to contribute $5 for our grandson who is going to Israel, living there for a year and playing professional basketball with an Israeli team. We are so proud of him that he was accepted and did this all on his own. We will miss him terribly, but just so excited that he is doing this really exciting, adventurous thing, and it's a great time to do it. And we just wish him well and just to enjoy. So we're going to donate $5 for that, and I also would like to donate for on behalf of myself, that my knee is healing. It's now 8 weeks out, and I'm walking on my own, no cane, whatever, and still in physical therapy, but I'm getting there, and I want to contribute $5 for that.
Thanks so much, Rosie.
I'd like to contribute $10 in honor of my former student, Kelly Stable, from Noblesville. I saw a picture of her son on Facebook with a nice face mask, and I asked her where she got it, and she said, well, she had made it and she could make one for me too. So she's sending me 2 of them, one with Michigan decoration, one with IU decoration. It's wonderful how former students stay in touch.
I'd like to offer some $50. I have happy dollars. I don't know if
Go ahead, Martha.
Oh, okay, thanks. I just wanted to note that today is the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage in the United States. And in my grandmother's lifetime, which is pretty amazing. And it was a step towards democracy that we all aspire to. Not a final or complete one, but a big step.
Hear, hear.
Ashley?
Yes.
Charlotte, okay.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, I never get through.
Charlotte, you're next.
Okay. No? Yeah, I want to second Martha's happy dollars. I would like to give 10 happy dollars, which this is a huge thing. My mother-in-law actually marched in votes for women in Ohio, which was a big center of support for suffrage. And without that, where would we be? It's the best thing that happened to this country, one of the best. We have to continue to build on it. Because we should, votes for women mean votes for women. So we need to all vote, as we know. Okay?
Thank you so much, Charlotte.
Hooray for votes.
Just, I just thank everyone. Okay.
We hear you, John, loud and clear. Thank you for being here today. Sally.
I'll go. So many anniversaries, clearly the 19th Amendment and women's right to vote. And next week we're having a program on that, which we'll talk about later. I'm very excited. But I also want to give happy dollars today in recognition of the Negro National League. Negro Leagues of Baseball. It's a Kansas City Monarchs cap. And it's the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Negro Leagues. And we have our own George Shively buried here at Rose Hill Cemetery. And so many people to pay tribute to in that fine organization. I'm from Kansas City. The Negro Leagues Baseball Museum is in Kansas City because the Negro Leagues were founded there 100 years ago.
That was a good year.
Thank you, Sally.
I will jump in with some happy dollars as well. Some for all for Teachers Warehouse for the 100th anniversary of women's right to vote. Thank goodness. It took a long time, but we made it. And our great niece has moved into her college dorm, and we hope things go well, but she's in nursing school at the University of South Carolina in Beaufort. So we're excited.
That's
Congratulations. Anyone else have anything to share? Okay, well, thank you for sharing all of those wonderful updates. We are happy right along with you. And okay, I would like to introduce Leslie Green to introduce our speakers today.
Hi, hello everybody. Great to see everybody online. Today I'm bringing you what I think is going to be a really good and inspiring program. This is something we had hoped to do in April, and we had planned it for several months, and then our COVID shut down. We kind of postponed it, and happy that we could bring it back to you online today. I will preface our presentation with the fact that we had a little technical problem with one of our presenters, and I'm hoping that this is going to work out. We did have a practice last evening and everything worked out fine, but of course the technical gremlins are in the air today, and I think we have it worked out for Michael to be able to speak to you in a couple of moments. But let me introduce you to Michael Ely, someone I've known for a number of years. He's very well known to people that are involved in self-advocacy, to people that are involved in disability awareness movement. He works on behalf of others to get a voice out of what living with a disability is like and what kind of supports are needed for individuals that live with those disabilities. He has an associate's degree from Ivy Tech, which he will tell you more about. He currently works at Indiana University, and he will tell you more about that. Michael is particularly talented in being able to get people to understand more about what it is like to live with a disability. He himself has received some awards for his work. And without further ado, I'd like you to really hear from Michael.
Hi, my name is Michael Lealy. I work at Indiana Institute on Disability and Community. I am going to talk about what it's like living with a disability. In the spring of 2016, I did like a skit, and it was called I Am You, through my direct care agency. It was where people could tell their own stories. I thought that I would share my story. Here it is. I have cerebral palsy, which affects all of my muscles in my body. I use a power wheelchair for mobility and use a communication device for communication. Some people who don't know me don't realize I understand and do things like everybody else can do. It has been an ongoing battle for me, and it always will be. Some people will talk down to me like or they will talk really loudly. I don't know if they think I can't hear or if talking louder will help to understand them. It makes me really irritated when people don't understand that I can understand them. Some people will talk to my staff instead of me. For example, this was a couple of years ago. I went out to eat with he liked to drink. Someone said, I don't know. Why don't you ask him? At the end of our meal, the waitress goes, ladies, have a nice day. The waitress didn't acknowledge the fact I was there. She ignored me. This example tells you how some people react with me and whoever is with me. When I was in school, I was always fully included in the general education classrooms. I learned what everyone else did. I graduated from Bloomington North High School in June of 2002 with my diploma. I took a couple of years off from school to decide what I wanted to do. One day I decided to go on to college. I graduated from Ivy Tech Community College in May of 2011 with an associate's degree in computer information systems. My main area of study was web development, like I said before. I work at Indiana Institute on Disability and Community. I finished my second project at my work. They have something else for me to work on. It is my understanding that I will be doing is checking on documents to see if they are accessible. I had this job since July 2019. I am also the president of Self-Advocates of Monroe County. Plus, I am on the board of directors at Stone Bell to represent Self-Advocates. Every 3 months, I have to report to the board what Self-Advocates has been up to. One time, I overheard somebody while I was going by. They were talking about me, so I stopped to listen to them. One person asked if I really had a college degree. The other person said something like, no, it would have been too hard for him. I decided to ignore it. It made me frustrated because they didn't know me. They assumed that I couldn't do the work. This person who said that. I did not go to college. They are an employment consultant. I feel like they should know given what kind of work that they do, rather than misjudge me by my physical appearance.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I know. What? No. This? Yeah. Where does it go? All right. It's all right now? Yeah.
All right. So Michael, can you go back to the part where you were talking about someone talking about you not having a college degree? That's where we kind of lost you.
This person who said that. I did not go to college. They are an employment consultant. I feel like they should know given what kind of work that they do, rather than misjudge me by my physical appearance. From my experiences, I think you can see that just because I have a disability, it doesn't mean that I don't understand what people say to me or about me. I don't really know why people underestimate my abilities, other than that I use a wheelchair and a communication device. I am really not different from anyone else. I have the same thoughts, feelings, and needs as everyone else. It would be nice if people would get to know me as a person before they decide what I am capable of doing instead of assuming I can't do anything. Thank you for listening.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Michael. So I thought we would go to talk with Adria now, who is also here, and I will introduce you to her. And then we'll have some time for questions for Michael or Adria at the end. So some of you may be familiar with Adria. She has she's a local personality, but as a person with autism, cerebral palsy, and a learning disability that makes abstract reasoning and spatial relations difficult, Adria has become an advocate for people with disabilities. Since 2006, she has written a bi-weekly column at the Herald Time, giving readers her perspective on living with disabilities. Bob Zaltzberg said that people admire her straightforward manner of talking about disabilities and her insights that people often think about. So we do want to, and she's currently working at the Indiana Institute for Community and Disability and Community, and we'd like to hear more from Adria now.
Thank you, Leslie, and thank you everybody for having me. I know some of you here. I know Ashley Sullivan. I know Charlotte Zitlow. I think Bob Zaltzberg is here. Is he not? Or he's in this club apparently. Is he not? Yay. Okay. And I know Mr. Michael Ely because we work together. Yeah. Hi, Michael. As Leslie said, I do work at the Indiana Institute on Disability and Community. I have not been writing for the Herald Times since 2006. That's a little long. I was hired in 2016.
Okay.
Oh, I misspoke.
It's okay. It's okay. It's easy to do. But yes, I do write a column for the Herald Times on autism and different aspects of disability. And I was hired by Bob Zaltzberg that January. I guess he, it was interesting. We were at lunch and he asked me, Adria, what do you like to write about? And I said, I like to write about disability. I wrote, I started writing fiction, just short stories when I was itty bitty, probably 5 and 6, just for something to do. And the first thing I would write about is kids with disabilities, because honestly, I told Bob, if I recall correctly, it was the first world that I knew. Very similar to Michael, I did not spend the entirety of my time in general education, but I was very quickly mainstreamed, meaning that I was included very young in the general education environment. By about 4th grade, it was pull out for math instruction in the special ed classroom because of a significant learning disability that impacts visual spatial processing and math skills, diagnosed in kindergarten, all the way through kindergarten through 12th grade. But then if it was something that was mainly math, but if it was like doing a science experiment and you had to measure this, measure that, there might be, a special education aide in the back of the room, but I never had a full-time classroom aide. And some kids with disability will through the K through 12 system, but I did not, no. And I was put in special education study hall because I needed more attention, more individualized attention because of the learning disability and a smaller class size, which many kids with learning disability and autism will. The autism, I should say, I never received any school-based services under the label of autism. The autism spectrum disorder was not diagnosed clinically until about age 15 because children with learning disability do have social developmental delay and emotional developmental delay as part of the diagnosis. And that's what I was diagnosed with in kindergarten. But the social developmental delay really didn't begin to really show up until about middle school to high school when the social environment became more complex. So it was diagnosed maybe sophomore, junior year of high school, we really started to see the autism come into the picture. And it's not to say that my parents were living under a rock or that I was incorrectly diagnosed. It just took a while to really start to see the complexity of the social world, which is sometimes the case. So about me, similar to Michael, I also got a college degree with a lot of support. I went through a small Catholic liberal arts school in Owensboro, Kentucky called Brescia University. Many times people that hear my story, the first thing out of their mouth is your family Catholic? And the answer is no. We chose Brescia University for me because it had a very good program for students with learning and physical disability. And my mother is a pediatrician out of Salem, Indiana, and New Albany is the main campus. And she wanted a chance for me, maybe, just maybe, to be able to go away to school, but she knew I would need a lot of support. And so this was a small campus of about 750 students and a disability services office, a campus blocked off to cars for a kid with visual spatial processing issues that couldn't get hit by a car. So there were a lot, and I did have a lot of support. I had tutoring every day, peer mentoring, a one-on-one student assistant all 4 years of college to help with executive functioning and making sure I got to class, and tutoring and making sure I took meds every day. So there was a lot of support, but with that support, I was able to have an away from home college experience and get a degree. And also the other side of the coin was that I had to have support in also independent living skills. And that's where Miss Ashley Sullivan met me. I came to Bloomington in 2008 for a private independent living skills program here in town called the College Internship Program. Is anybody familiar with them other than Ashley? If you're not, they are a support program that is a national program designed for college capable young adults with autism spectrum disorder and or various types of learning disabilities. So I had to learn to do things like fold laundry, manage money, develop social relationships with people, and develop the skills to do it. A lot of things. They also helped with academic and study skills, occupational therapy. There was a lot of support for about 3.5 years. I now live here in Bloomington full-time in an apartment with the help of a service dog. When you talk about accommodations, that's a big one. Some of you may see me and Lucy because we're out all the time. A lot of people in town also know Lucy. She's a service dog. She's 10 now, trained for mild mobility assistance, balance support, and also navigation. She is trained to track the way home when I get lost. She hasn't had to do that in a while because it became a matter of me knowing the general area and then developing relationships with people that I could trust. One thing that's often difficult for young people with autism and disability period is knowing who among your peer group is well-intentioned and truly cares for you and who may masquerade as well-intentioned but have other agenda. And so part of the social skills therapy that I got as a young adult was to develop those skills and thereby go out in the greater community and be able to develop worthwhile and meaningful relationships with people. So does Lucy have to do things like navigational assistance anymore? Not so much. More so it's balance and stability stuff, but she's really made a difference in my life and she's helped my social circle grow like about this big. It's awesome. Accommodations, when I think of them, I mean, there was always the use of a calculator for math all through school, private tutoring, summer school every summer. I also have a college student that is hired one-on-one through a direct care agency to work on independent living skills and social skills throughout the week. Those can be areas of challenge for young people with disabilities, but especially the social skills can be very challenging for young people with autism. So we'll go out and we'll like get dinner, we'll get coffee, we'll see a movie, things like that. I think when I look at my goals long-term, I like to be very involved in the community. I keep a very busy calendar. I right now serve on the board of directors for the Monroe County Autism Foundation. I have also served on the board of directors for Life Designs Incorporated in the past, which is a similar to Stonewell. It's a direct care agency for children, teens, and young adults with intellectual and developmental disability. I think though, I really like what I do here in town. It's very fulfilling to do the column, but I really would like to serve more at the national level in terms of disability advocacy and policy, because I think all my life, to be honest with you, I have wanted nothing more than to better the lives of children and young people with disability. To be honest with you, as I said in the beginning, this was the first world I knew. This was the world I first grew up in. And so it always has been a part of my life. And I think given that God gave me all the abilities he gave me, it only makes sense to me to use them to better this world for the next generation. And I think if you go to the national level, God willing, you affect more young people and you affect more families. Certainly there are a lot of families in Monroe County experiencing disability, but there are far more in DC, in Alabama, in Alaska, in Louisville, Kentucky, I mean, disability knows no boundary line. It knows no county line. It knows no race. It knows no economic, barrier, nothing. So, I will go as far as God wills me to go. And my ultimate goal is to continue to make those connections with people, continue to develop those relationships. I want to go to conferences. I want to continue to do speaking engagements at IU, at Ivy Tech, at conferences nationally, so that I continue to let people know my name, hear my story, so to speak, because that's how you're going to get farther.
Wonderful. Great. Yay, Adria.
I say thank you, Adria. So I said that we would have time for questions, and
we don't.
We do. We do. So thank you so much, Michael and Adria. Nice to see you, Adria. It's been a long time. If anyone has questions, we have a few minutes here, so please speak up.
This is Tim Jessen. To Adria, I also write a column from time to time. My question is, do you have trouble finding topics for the columns as often as you write them, or do you seem to always have more things to write about than you can get in the column and in the paper?
Well, I thank you for bringing that up, because one thing that Leslie did ask me to address was the column, and I'm sorry, I totally forgot. So she actually asked me, where do you get your material for your columns? And do I have trouble with it? Sometimes. That's when I do, I will start kind of going talking to people in my inner circle. Honestly, sometimes I have knocked on Charlotte's door and said, Charlotte, what's going on this week? Like, what can I write about, and how do I spin it so that it is relative to disability? Or like to my mom, or I will call my sister on her lunch break, who is a physician in Boston, and say, have you got any interesting ideas for me that I could play with for a column? But usually I pay very close attention to the national news. I read a lot. I read a lot of, I read the newspaper. I watch the local news at least a few times a week. I tend to read things like Time Magazine, the New Yorker, national news magazines, as well as I pay attention to disability policy a lot. I pay attention to families and what is going on that experience disability and what is going on in their life. I pay attention to, for goodness sake, national companies that cater to individuals with disabilities and their families. For example, well, even retailers that cater to the average American family. Target has now gotten a line of wheelchair accessible Disney costumes. Not that little ones read the newspaper, but their grandparents do, and that's could be playing with a column. Also, what's going on nationally in our country right now? Heaven forgive me for getting political, but somewhat of a lot of racial unrest, a lot of economic divide. Go possibly. I don't interview people a lot because a lot of what I write about sometimes is personal perspective, but I have, possibly go interview an African-American parent with a child on the spectrum or a child with developmental disability and say, what are you experiencing right now? Get a firsthand account with their permission. And, if the child is comfortable with it, or the young adult, either or, talk to them about, how are they feeling about going back to school if they're doing in-person classes? How are they feeling, when they step outside their front door? That kind of thing. I write also a lot about dogs because I like dogs. And Lucy plays a big part in my life. And sometimes if you guys read the HT, you may have seen the columns that Lucy writes. I do those people seem to like them. They tell me that they're funny. And also those come around when I'm like, oh my goodness, I got a column due, and quite honestly, I'll be honest, I don't know what to write about, but you have to spin it so that it is convincing, it is, timely, and it's believable from the point of a dog. Yeah, but it's fun. So I really like it. I really enjoy it. And in the beginning, I did not like, in a way, all the, I guess you could say, the attention for that the column, like how I would get like noticed, or like people would come up to me in Kroger or come up to me in line at Subway and say, hey, you write for the Herald Times. Hey, hi. Like, I read your stuff. Because you've got to understand, from a perspective of a person with autism, you're talking to now a young adult who, as a little kid, had to be taught to say hi to people when they came in my house, like my parents' colleagues when they came to dinner, or when we all went to dinner. My mom would say, Adria, say hi. Adria, say thank you. It was not social conversation, and social niceties were not natural, and often are not natural. So now I'm out in the city in public, and I have people coming up to me, oh, hi, oh, I just want to tell you I liked your column. And people, my parents and I once were at dinner at Uptown before COVID. We were sitting at the table, and a professor from IU came up to us during dinner and said, can I have 5 minutes with your daughter? And I was like, okay, hi. And so it was, for a while, it was a bit jarring, but now I've come to embrace it and come to love it, because I realized that, I suppose, what I've done for the community and what I've always wanted to do is something good on behalf of children and young adults with disability, to help improve understanding and education and their betterment. So I realized that, oh my God, like, I have made it, I've given a personal perspective of autism and disability, and that's really what I wanted out of this.
I would like to say something. This is Charlotte, and and Adria is my geek squad down the hall, and she's made living downtown so much more better than I could ever have imagined, because she's so smart, and she's so funny, and she's so good-hearted, and I'm going to encourage her to become president someday.
I don't know if I want to run for office, but I definitely, like, I would love to start serving on national committees. I have one application in for a position nationally called the Interagency Autism Coordinating Committee, which is under the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, to help advocate for national policy change in regard to autism and to help make national law. And I don't know, apparently it is open primarily to parents of children and young adults on the spectrum, and to heads of autism related service organizations and businesses. But there are 3 positions open to adults on the spectrum nationally. So when my boss of the Indiana Institute on Disability and Community, his name is Derek Nord, when he came to me and he said, I'd like you to apply for this, please. I said, yes, sir. Okay, then. Because, I don't know, like, as I said, I have always wanted to make connections, I guess you could say, in a big way. And things like that are what I need to be doing.
Yes.
To really, really get things done.
Great. Thank you so much, Adria. And thank you so much, Michael.
And Michael, thank you. Yes, we all have to learn.
Thank you.
In honor of both of your presentations today, we'll be giving a donation to Teachers Warehouse. So thank you. Would you both be able to stay for a few minutes after we close to answer any more questions?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I would like to introduce Sally Gaskell to tell us about next week's program.
Next week, as promised, we'll be celebrating the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment of the United States Constitution, giving women the right to vote. The speaker is Janine Giordano Drake of the IU History Department, and she's going to be talking about socialists, the unsung heroes of the suffrage movement in Indiana. I can't wait.
Thank you, Sally. Michael, will you share the four-way test graphic for us? Let's close the meeting by reciting the four-way test, +1 together.
Of the things we
say or do. First,
is it the truth?
Second,
Second, is it
fair
to all concerned?
Third,
will it build goodwill
and better friendships? Fourth, will it be
beneficial
beneficial to all concerned?
And
And fifth,
is it fun?
Thank you. That concludes our meeting today, and we will open up for a few minutes of extra questions for Adrian.
Michael, I have a question for you. Yes, I understand that you've done some work at the IU School of Education. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
I don't think that was a good idea.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
I have a job. It is at Indiana Institute on Disability and Community.
So the job is at the institute. I don't know about the education part. Michael, I don't know if you have prepared remarks about the work you do on websites or not, but I know that's a part of what your work is. If there's anything you could share along that line.
I designed Self-Advocates of Monroe County website.
Yes.
Which was what your training was about, your degree was about.
And Michael, it's been a, if I might add for you, so everyone knows, you continued working throughout this entire pandemic. The Institute worked to move Michael's work virtually, and he's been completing projects throughout.
Wonderful. What do the advocates do?
Right.
What do the self-advocates do?
Yes.
That's the question for Michael.
Yes, that's a question for Michael.
We have. A lot of.